Now, as a wrestling fan, we all know that NXT on Tuesday nights and Ring of Honor, whenever they do their show, they put on great entertainment, great professional wrestling every single time. Everybody who wrestles on each of those brands, on each of those shows, the pay-per-views they put out, it's top notch. So what I'm about to say here is all about perspective. Because to me, the perspective that NXT and now Ring of Honor, ever since it was bought out by AEW, to me the perspective is that these brands, these shows, are developmental. They're minor leagues, they're farm leagues. NXT for WWE, Ring of Honor for AEW. And that hasn't always been the case with Ring of Honor since they were their own company. And back then, I used to consider it an actual major league company because it was its own thing. All Elite Wrestling, Tony Khan bought it. Now it's become, at least from my viewpoint, developmental for All Elite Wrestling. And you might ask yourself, well, Claudio Castagnoli is the Ring of Honor World Champion. Samoa Joe is the Ring of Honor World Television Champion. Becky Lynch just became NXT Women's Champion last week. She beat Tiffany Stratton in a fantastic performance from Stratton herself. Carmelo Hayes is him. He is an absolute megastar about to be born into the main roster. Dominic Mysterio, Dirty Dominic Mysterio, he's the NXT North American Champion. How can you consider NXT and Ring of Honor as developmental, as second tier, as farm systems, when you have such top-notch performers, such great matches, such great shows that they put out on a weekly basis? And again, I go back to the fact that it is all about perspective. Because, at least for the past 5 years, even a little bit over 5 years, a company like Impact Wrestling, who used to be TNA Wrestling, Impact Wrestling has been putting on killer shows on a weekly basis. They've been putting out killer pay-per-view shows on a consistent basis ever since they've been under the helm of Ed Nordholm and Scott D'Amore. But the stigma, the perspective that they've always had is that they're TNA, and the TNA brand was so diminished at the point of rebranding that even today they're still fighting that off. And to me, even though you have great matches, great wrestlers, great moments in these companies, NXT and Ring of Honor, that doesn't take away from the fact that the major leagues are still WWE effectively number one, AEW, and by default Impact Wrestling because it is its own thing. And Major League Wrestling as well, MLW, NWA, they get into that. Now, you might have a different taste in what products you like watching. You might think some wrestlers on some brands are better than others. But at the end of the day, to me, even though you can have a fantastic team in college football, teams that might be able to compete with the NFL, but the NFL is the NFL. It is the major leagues. It gives you the platform of being able to go to a Super Bowl rather than the Big Four. That is college. That is a big thing. It's a big deal. It's great entertainment. People love to watch it. People have fandom for college football and college sports, but it's not pro. It's not the main one. It's not the top division. And to me, that's WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, way over NXT and Ring of Honor. And again, this has nothing to do with the quality of the shows or the quality of the wrestling or the creative or whatever that they actually put on. It's all a matter of perspective, and whether we like it or not, the entire world we live in, the social construct that we live in, is all about perspective. It's all about first impressions. And AEW can put as much of Castagnoli and Samoa Joe on their TV. That doesn't mean everyone's going to go watch Ring of Honor. Just like WWE put the NXT North American Championship on Dominic Mysterio. And they did that with Becky Lynch as in the NXT Women's Championship. That doesn't mean they're going to go watch NXT. It's a great marketing ploy to try and get them to, but it is what it is. It is what it is. There's a reason why people go watch the NFL in droves In college football, it's all about, if you're on campus, then you go watch it. If not, you don't go watch it. As simple as that. But again, this is my perspective. And sometimes I enjoy watching Ring of Honor Wrestling or NXT. They have fantastic matches. It's not about that. It's all about perspective. It's all about the way people look at the product from the outside in. And they just seem as developmental, farm system. But hey, that's just my opinion. That's just my outlook. And with that said, I'm sure this is a controversial opinion. I'm sure you definitely consider NXT, Ring of Honor, over Impact Wrestling in most cases. And if you do, if you have a different opinion, leave it in the comment section below. In the meantime, tune in later on tonight to the USA Network for another episode of NXT. And again, like I said, the wrestling itself, the product that they put out itself, it's fantastic. But you're never going to catch me watching NXT over Raw, SmackDown, Impact, Dynamite, Collision, Rampage. No. So with that said, I'm Alexis Carrillo. This has been Wrestling Talk, and I'll see you next time.